have Denise DuBois, one of our product managers here at Realityworks. Denise has been with us for over 15 years, and she is a frequent presenter, trainer, blogger for all things related to family consumer sciences, health sciences, EMS, and human services. Denise has experience teaching in Wisconsin and in Minnesota, and she has over 20 years of education, marketing experience, and professional development. She is also co-chair for the Alliance for Family and Consumer Sciences. So she is a fantastic resource for today's webinar. But before we get started, I do want to cover a couple things. First, today's presentation is being recorded, and all attendees will receive a link to that recording as well as a copy of the PowerPoint slides and handouts that Denise will be going over. For attending the presentation live, you will be receiving a certificate of completion, and you will see that in your inbox within 24 hours after the webinar. Also, there is a short survey after the webinar for all of you to fill out if you are looking for any additional topics on for webinars. We will have time at the end for a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type those in the chat area or the Q&A section located at the bottom of your screen, and we can cover those at the end. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Denise to get us going.
Thank you, Emily. Welcome everyone to our session today on tips for starting a new education and training pathway program. Now, here's just a brief outline of what we're going to be covering today. Schools across the country are starting new education and training pathways. And during this webinar, we're going to try to walk you through some key concepts that you need to consider in these courses and hopefully show you how to align tools and the curricula that Realityworks offers to help you jumpstart some of these courses and pathway programs. And we're also hoping that the information shared can really help save you some time as you do that planning. So when you begin to build your education and training program, there are a lot of places you can start and many resources you can go to. So let's take a look at the pathways that pertain to education and training career clusters. So in the education and training career cluster, one of the pathways that we see being offered within FACS is teaching and training. And as you begin to look at what you need in this area, we found that a very helpful website to go to is careertech.org. And at that location, there is a plan of study worksheet that is editable. And there's a sample plan here for a study, for plan of study for education and training. It's a planning tool to help lay out the courses that you're going to need in your teaching and training pathway plan of study. And we're going to share some resources that can help you build out your plan of study. But first, let's consider just what makes an effective pathway. Now, here are 6 key elements for developing career pathways. And these elements are important to consider for any pathway program that you're going to develop, including education and training. And they're cyclical, so you're going to identify industry sector, and you're going to engage employers and business and industry. And you want to design your programs around what's needed to fill the skills gap. You're going to try to identify funding sources to help you get all the resources that you need to do effective training. You're going to align all of your programs to standards and things of that nature. You're going to find ways to measure system changer performance, hopefully some way to measure student competence, whether it be certifications or credentials of some sort. And then, of course, always trying to build those partnerships with business and industry. So finding industry recognized certifications, we know, can be a really helpful place to start. And if you know what knowledge and skills are included in those certifications or those credential assessments, you can be sure to include this content in your planning. So if you go to the website, this particular one for CDA, it has just a wealth of information about the variety of certifications you can earn in the subject areas that are part of that CDA exam. And this is part of those 6 key elements where you're designing the education and training program. So really a good one to take a look at. Now, Educators Rising has many resources to look at. And first, they have a curriculum that you can purchase for offering a teaching and training pathway, but they also have some micro-credentials that can be earned. Their program is based on these 6 skill sets and mindsets in pedagogy and professionalism. The information that you're going to find at this link is helpful if you're preparing teachers from K to 12. Now, we've recently learned that there are some states that will accept this as a CTSO, including Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, Virginia, and Arizona. I believe Alabama and Kansas do not, but things are always changing. So make sure you check out what your state will accept as an education and training CTSO as well. The Teacher Cadet Program also uses an innovative approach designed to attract talented young people to the teaching profession through a challenging introduction to teaching. The program seeks to provide high school students with insight into the nature of teaching, the problems of schooling, and then the critical issues affecting the quality of education in America's schools. And if you go out to the link, I believe there it shows which schools or which states have adopted teacher cadets, but a lot of information at this link if you're interested also in learning more about that program. Now, one place you can look for national education and training standards are found in the National Fact Standards. Standard 4.0 includes education and also early childhood. And when you take a closer look at these standards, they really provide measurable accountability and a comprehensive framework and validation. So no matter what, I think this is a great place to also look at some very specific standards relating to education and training. Now, the founding mission for the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards is to advance the quality of teaching and learning by maintaining high and rigorous standards for what accomplished teachers should know and be able to do. And then they also provide a national voluntary system for certifying teachers who meet the standards. The standards here were created by teachers and for teachers in all teaching areas. And again, you might glean some additional information that would be helpful. And these were developed and revised by practicing educators based on research and practitioner experience. So another place that you can certainly go to see what kinds of skills are important for education and training. Now, another good place that we have found that's helpful, again, is cte.careertech.org and the Common Core Technical Course Standards for Education and Training. These include specific measurable performance objectives for that career cluster in general, as well as each pathway within the cluster. So you can review the standards that apply to the pathway that you're developing to ensure that you're teaching these basic core competencies in your program. And again, this is one of those, part of the 6 key elements where you're designing the education and training programs. The URL here is a good resource to become familiar with also. It's careertech.org/education-training. There are knowledge and skill statements for the education and training cluster in general here, but there are also each specific pathway has knowledge and skills identified that students should know, as well as an editable template that can help you develop the course for your plan of study. So that one I found to be very, very valuable for you to take a look at. And here's one example of the knowledge and skills statements specific to the training or teaching and training pathway. And you can see that it focuses on planning appropriate educational strategies. So if you're building a teaching and training pathway, do your courses include this type of content? Are you teaching students how to align instructional strategies to learner backgrounds in your courses? So just again, one more place where you can go as you consider your planning. Now, involving local educational leaders in your pathway development planning is really critical. How can you understand what local employers are looking for in teaching and training professionals if you don't ask? So you can consider putting together an education advisory council. Choose these from a variety of settings and levels of responsibility so that you get a variety of viewpoints and input. You could plan to meet on a regular basis, perhaps quarterly, but have a frank dialogue and ask, what are you looking for in your employees? And then think about, does your course content align with what they're searching for or looking for in their teachers, administrators, and support staffs that they hire? You can also use your advisory council members to form partnerships. Are they willing to allow students to get some field experience or job experience or even job shadowing? Are they interested in being guest speakers in some of your classes? So by engaging employers, it's one of those 6 key elements for developing career pathways as seen on that earlier slide. Many districts require that any career pathway is created lead to some sort of industry recognized credential, or certification. And in order to find the right certification or credentials for your program, you got to ask the right questions. Does your state Department of Education recommend a specific certification or testing agency? Really important. Are there any specific requirements that your instructors have to have in order to teach these types of courses? We already covered the importance of asking a local business or employers, what are you looking for? And are the skills that you're teaching transferable to real employment? And what is the cost for certifications or specific credentials when you do have them identified? Again, think back to those 6 key elements. Certifications and credentials are part of the step for aligning the policies and programs. So a few more organizations to consider as you look for certifications or credentials for high school. The Council for Professional Recognition offers the CDA certification, which many of you are probably familiar with at the high school level. And it happens to be the most widely recognized certification for high school students in childcare at this time. AAFCS also offers 2 different certifications that are used to document exit level achievement in rigorous secondary programs and lower division post-secondary courses. Having these can help satisfy federal accountability and reporting mandates for Perkins legislation. They can also facilitate some seamless articulation, placement, and credit by exam within post-secondary institution. And it certainly can help validate competencies required for employment at the pre-professional or paraprofessional level. And it just provides that great industry recognized certification. Now, the PPAT assessment evaluates test takers on their abilities to impact student learning as it relates to the INTASC Model Core teaching standards, demonstrating that they have the basic pedagogy and content knowledge, as well as the application for classroom to be in teaching as an entry-level educator. So you can see that there are a lot of different types of industry recognized certification and credentials that you consider for the teaching and training pathway. Here are a few more. The National Occupational Competency Testing Institute, shorthand NOCTI. There are several different types of certifications that you can look at. The Education and Training Industry-Based Credential is included in the Pathway Assessment Battery. And pathway assessments assess knowledge and skills at a broader level than the job ready assessments. And they really focus on the pathway established as part of a national career cluster model. Now, the Early Childhood Education and Care Basic Industry Credential is part of their Job Ready Assessment Battery. And the Job Ready Assessments measure technical skills at the occupational level, and they'll include items that gauge factual and theoretical knowledge. So Job Ready Assessments typically are both written and have a performance component to them, and they can be used at the secondary and post-secondary levels of education. Now, here's one example of a vendor that has many different education and training certifications. Precision Exams by U-Science has assessments that validate the skills and knowledge of your students in areas connected to child development, as well as early childhood education. Now, there are other organizations that offer competitive events for teaching and training that many you're probably aware of already. FCCLA, of course, has the 3 that I've got there, the STAR event for Teach and Train. I think that one is the most closely aligned. They have a skill demonstration event, Toys That Teach, and then that online challenge test. All 3 closely aligned with education and training. HOSA also has specific health education, middle school, and teamwork events. Skills USA was worth a mention because they also have an early childhood education. And then Educators Rising, which is the link I covered earlier, they also do offer several competitions at their annual conference related to education and training. So now we're going to share some of the hands-on resources that we have available that are recommended for education and training. And for the ease of starting a brand new education and training program, we have a basic pack of resources that we have put together called a Pathway Package. And you can order it as a complete set ready to go, or we can just as easily customize a package for your unique program needs. But that exists out there at the link, and it will give you a lot more information on each of the components as well as the curriculum that's in it. So these are the recommended products, simulators, task trainers that we have in class kits that provide students with that practical application of the content that they're learning. And here is where they get the hands-on learning of those transferable career skills, as well as the foundational knowledge that they will use in their education and training careers. And all of these products at Realityworks, if you go out to the realityworks.com webpage, has a specific product page dedicated with even more information. So once you see the variety of these hands-on resources that are available, you can begin to plan how to use these in the courses that you have in your plan of study. Now, if you already have some of these types of kits and training aids, you can begin to see where they best fit in your pathway. And then we know that this type of thing will make your content memorable and then also help make learning sticky for your students, because when they have these kind of engaging tools to use, they will remember what they've learned. Now, curriculum will form the content backbone to any effective plan of study. So what you teach is just as important as how you teach. So think back to those 6 key elements. That's where we can help you. We can help you design your teaching and training program, plan of study, your courses and the content that you'll include, because we have dozens and dozens of lessons from a wide variety of curricula that we provide with our experiential learning resources. We've reviewed them and we've put together a recommended package of content for education and training. And here are the curriculum modules that we include in our education and training pathway package. And there are many, many more resources and curricula can be added. But this is our base package, and we feel that if you'd purchase this, if you're starting from the ground zero, you would have almost 100 hours of content, along with a lot of hands-on kits and tools that would make your courses really come alive and be engaging. So once you see the breadth of the content that's available, then you can begin to figure out how to plug it into the courses you have in your plan of study. So remember again that first slide that had that list of courses in the plan of study. Well, if you already have some of these resources and curriculum topics, you can see where the gaps are, and you can also see where some of what you have best fits. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I guess that's the most important message here, because the lessons that we have available with our products, they're by educators for educators, and there's step-by-step instructions. There's assessments built in, slide presentations, and all of those ready-to-use activities. So here's just a great visual from the Minnesota CTE that summarizes how the teaching and training pathway can lead to filling the skills gap we have in education and training careers. And it shows how students can really take advantage of several entry points on a career pathway. And each entry point is based on different levels of education and experience. So wherever you fit into this, there is a way for young students, if they're interested in this as a career, to be able to get involved and start building their own skills. Now, teachers will always be in demand. There are many, many opportunities for students to find work in this area. It's not just teaching, it's administration, it's all those support services. But employment in education and training, and even they include library occupations, the BLS does, is projected to grow 10% from 2020 to 2030, which is about as fast as the average for all occupations. But we know there's always going to be that need, and we are trying to fill that skills gap by preparing our students. But wait, there's more. We have some more free resources to share with you this morning. First of all, we do offer monthly webinars on a wide variety of topics. Education and training is just one of them. If you're interested, you can go out to the link here on the screen and you can register for free, just like you did today. You can attend and receive a recording and all of the links and the presentation. We also do record and archive everything that we do as webinars, and you can also go to the link and you can click on the related topic area, facts, for instance, and you would find education and training and culinary, childcare, interior design, employability, many dozens of archived webinars that are roughly 25 to 30 minutes in length. There are some more free resources for your classroom available at the 4 links that you see here on the screen. And the first link has a poster from us that is all about early childhood education careers that you can print out and put up. The second link gives you access to several curricula lessons that we have on our website that are specific to education and training. And there are some activity samples on our website for the last 3 links. I'll take you out to these different activities and curriculum samples. So if you're looking for some additional things to try in your classroom, you might want to click on some of these links and try the activity. We have some additional resources as far as social media. We like to be very active in that. So we have a blog, and this blog is very active. We have guest writers, we do product launch information, but we try to share a lot of classroom information, activities, trends at the blog. So you can check that out. We also try to be very busy and engaging on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Sometimes you will see teachers including some of their own best practices, some of their pictures from their classroom. On occasion, we may even see students that have some of our products and programs, and especially Real Care Baby, sharing what they're doing. So visit us there and take a look and see what's going on. We found a few more sources of information to use in education and training. There are so many free videos on YouTube that can help give your students a look into this occupational area. So we thought we'd include a few here. The first 2 are specific to education and training as a pathway. We also want to make you aware of ACT, the Division of Education. It has many divisions that can help with information, especially on education and training. There's ag education, business ed, also broader divisions such as post-secondary and adult career education. And then even things like teachers pay teachers, tons of resources created by educators for educators about this career pathway. So, and many of them are very low cost resources to purchase there. Now, the Nebraska Department of Education, we found, has several free lesson plans that you can access at that first link. And many of those are career exploration for a variety of grades. The second link we found in our research is a link to a 60-minute lesson with many activities, links, and exercises for grades 9 through 12. And then the third one is an article that was written by AES Education about 4 teaching and training career exploration lessons that they highly recommend. So we thought we would share those links with you to help save you some time in your research. So I've thrown a lot out at you in the last little while here. I would open it up for any questions you might have right now. And I know Emily has been watching the chat box for us.
Yeah, Denise, you shared a lot of free resources. Do you want to go over what everybody's going to be receiving after the webinar?
Yes, if you've been with us live participating, you will receive a participant of participation. You will receive the PowerPoint presentation, a link to the archived or recorded webinar, and also a link with all, or a handout with all of the links that were embedded in the presentation as well.
And then of the kits that you went over, will you be providing the samples for the sample curriculum for those as well?
You can find those on the product page on the webpage, as well as some of the links that I shared in the presentation. If you click on those, it will take you to curriculum samples for those kits.
Awesome. And I'm not seeing any additional questions coming through at this time.
All right. Well, thank you all for participating today in our webinar all about developing a pathway program for education and training. It is one of the areas we've seen a lot of growth in just in the last year or 2. And I think we're going to see a lot more into the next 5 years, because there is a huge skills gap and we need to be preparing our young people for this field. So we hope you found some of the information helpful and the links useful, and we just really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.